Hey, everybody, welcome to the 12th episode of Taps and Patience. I am AJ from Design the Everything, here with my buddy Harrison from Precision Ingenuity. Hey, man, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I was reading the Mighty Byte catalog, or like some pamphlet they sent me the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and they credited a photo to a company that is called Ingenuity Precision.
Ingenuity Precision?
Yes, it's your
No
name but
way.
backwards.
So I somewhat know those guys through a funny series of events, but I've never talked to a single person at that company. So here's the story.
Okay.
Ingenuity Precision also does some gun stuff. They
Oh,
make a,
really?
they make a trickler system for reloading ammo.
Okay.
And I get a phone call about once every other week from a person going, "Hey, I ordered the trickler system and I want to know when it's going to be here," or "Oh, hey, I have a problem with it," or "Oh, hey, da 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 da." And the reason that is because we have a better Google presence than they do.
Ah, yeah.
And so if you type Ingenuity Precision, Precision Ingenuity shows up above theirs. And
That's
it's totally
hilarious.
accidental, not trying to do it. Um, and it's just really funny because like I'll get a random phone call and it's like, "Hey, yeah, I just placed an order and I'm wanting an update," and I'm like, "Okay, what'd you order?" And they tell me, it's the trickler system. I'm like, "Okay, you're not looking for us, you're looking for the other guys." so, so it's just a funny, and that's hilarious that they got into the Mighty Bike thing. You're gonna have to send me that later because I want to see that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a picture of the bottom of it.
One of these days I'm going to have to call that Ingenuity Precision company myself and figure out who they are. Um, just because it's hilarious. I haven't talked to a single person from there, but I think it's hilarious that our names are so close.
Yep. I I haven't ever run across that with Design the Everything, except that there is a couple like YouTube channels and probably companies that are named Design Everything, which admittedly makes a little bit more sense and is I wish I had gotten that name, from the bat, but because
That's all
Design the
right.
Everything's a little bit confusing, but at this point it's the name, so
But I like your logo. You got
and
a
the
really good
logo's
logo
really
for it.
good.
So
Yeah.
I do like that.
Um, Here. Entertain them. I'm going to go get something for our video watchers.
All right. So for those of you who are watching the video, here is a sneak peek of something that I'm working on for AJ. For those of you who are not watching the video, I'm holding a a prototype version of the aluminum tape measure housing. So this is the first one that I just ran today.
And it looks fantastic.
I'm pretty happy
So
with it.
I this is going to be really hard for our audio listeners, but I just got almost $1,000 worth of stickers and branding stuff in the mail.
Oh wow!
Um, the one of the things I'm most excited for is this tape, which is orange packing tape, or it's like a paper tape that's water activated, just like Amazon uses and everybody uses for all of their shipping. But the tape is Design the Everything orange, and it has our logo broken up into what we call the alphabet soup pattern,
That
which
is
is
really
just
cool.
the three different aspects of our logo randomized on a in white on a field of orange, and it looks so good. I'm really happy for that.
Is that something you got from that Jenny and Davis?
Yes,
Or
so that was where I got the idea for it. Yep, it's from
yeah,
Jenny and Davis.
yeah. No, it's we have a precision ingenuity tape as well, similar to that, but it's just
Yes,
our
I saw it
logo.
on the package you sent me.
Yeah, just our logo repeating.
Um, what kind of dispenser do you use for it?
My hands. So we just roll it out and cut it to length, and then we have a sponge that we wet it down with. Um, if we start selling more stuff, and as the volume picks up, we'll probably end up getting something that like adds water to it automatically and then cuts it to length.
They have like $30. I think they're all laser cut tape dispensers. That I don't know. It's basically like a big Scotch tape dispenser that has a sponge in it too, which those seems pretty decent for $30. I got one of the big, like, size of a microwave mechanical, like big lever ka-thunk tape cutters.
Does that cut it to length, or do you, like, every time you pull it forward, does it automatically cut the tape, or do you pull it forward and then like, cause like, say you have different size boxes, how do you cut it?
So there are two ways you could use it. It has, so to describe it for everybody, it's basically just a big blue box that has a lever on the side of it. And on that lever, there is a big dial looking thing. And you can either just pull the dial and or pull the lever and watch the dial, and that dial will measure how long your tape is. So you can just pull the dial to 10 inches if you need 10 inches of tape. Or you can set a stop in there. And if you set that stop, you can just pull the lever all the way and it'll only give you 10 inches. And it does wet it and cut it for you.
So what happens if how long does one pull stroke give you? And what happens if you need to do a second pull because you have a really large box?
I think it gives you like 40 inches or something. I think it's a meter.
Oh, really?
So you just don't make boxes that are bigger than a meter, I think is the answer. Or you do it in 2 strips.
That's fair. So that is a really long piece of tape. So
yes,
to be fair.
But these stickers, I'll give you guys I'll knock over my hot chocolate. I'll give you guys a sneak peek for some of these. These are for both sticker of the month and for the Kickstarter. So this one was designed by Ian O'Brien. I hope I got that name right on Instagram. This one was my brother, actually.
You do realize what that one looks like if you're just glancing at it, though.
It looks like a middle finger.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not see that until literally right now when I saw it small. In person, I haven't gotten that, though. This sticker right here is the Dieter Rams 10 Principles of Design, which you're never going to be able to read on this video, especially when I move it around like that. So just lots of stuff that I'm excited for. I love this stuff.
I like that one. That one's probably one of my favorites so far.
And for those of you on audio, that sticker is a outline of the carabiner, and then it has like an XKCD style drawing with a guy falling off a mountain, and it says "not for climbing." And this is what's going to go on. Oh, that's never going to focus. This is the design that's going to go on the tape measure, except it's going to be randomly generated every time.
There it goes. Now it focused. That's cool.
Which is now working in Fusion 360.
Nice.
That was the whole thing.
So you're going to want that laser engraved on these front and back faces?
These ones are going to be naked.
Okay.
The production Kickstarter carabiners I'm going to do for Make 100, and I will be selling 100 individually customized, or not. It's not custom, I guess. It's individually randomized tape measures.
Yeah. If you want to send me an example of that, I can engrave that onto this one because it's kind of the first one, the test one. Yeah. And I can engrave that pattern onto it. And we can, that way when I send you back your first set of 25, you'll have one extra in there that'll have the engravings on it.
That'd be nice. I can do that. And then also with these coins that you sent me, I ordered some premium precision ingenuity stainless steel coins. My Patreons this month are going to get one of these with an algorithmically generated pattern on them as well. Nice. Except I'm going to be engraving these on the mill because I didn't have the stuff ready, and you don't have a laser right now. Speaking of which,
it should be coming in tomorrow morning. So.
Oh, nice.
That's the goal. That's what the tracking says. So,
Okay. And then you'll be lasering things solid for the next 4 days.
oh my goodness. So,
Start at
um,
the beginning for people who aren't.
yeah.
Who are,
So,
yeah.
a week or two ago, I guess it would have been 2 weeks ago, at the end of 2 weeks ago, um, our laser started having an issue. When we turned it on, the galvo mirrors would start jittering in the head. And the first few times it did it, after a minute or two, it would self correct and start working properly. And we wouldn't have any issues until we turned it off and turned it back on. And then it would do that thing where it starts shaking and jittering. I don't know if it's trying to home the galvos or what, but it just wouldn't work. And we called the supplier or the production place of them, and they ended up saying that it was under warranty, and so we had to pack it up and ship it out. And they're going to send us a new one because it's under warranty for free. So that's not a big deal. The problem is that right when the laser went down is when our Etsy page started picking up like crazy. We have like 50 tumblers that we have to engrave for a company. And then I have all these other parts that I'm working on for another company, and all of the serial numbers we were planning on engraving on all of those parts. So I have them all done. They just need the serial numbers. And then today I had an order of 150 tags that just came in that we got a PO for today. And I have another job that I'm looking at tomorrow, which if we get it, it'll be like, in theory, up to 50 plates a week engraved on a reoccurring basis, which would be awesome
Wow.
because it'd be our first reoccurring job. But anyways, that laser is booked solid for probably close to a week already or more.
I think you need a second laser.
Yeah, we were looking at some today. We might end up having to get a second laser, especially if we get something that's on a reoccurring basis, like those tags or the nameplates that we might be making, because that would be something that'd be real easy to just set up a jig and just load it and just let it go while we have the other laser to do more custom stuff. So,
If, let's say, I don't know, this laser gets lost in the mail and the company just gives you all your money back, um, what laser would you buy?
I'd probably buy the same one. I haven't really looked very well. I haven't really looked enough to see the different brands to see if there's anything else I'd want. What I really would like, and there was a company that made one, but I was listening to the guy who did the review and he said it kind of sucked. Um, my ideal world would be the Galvo style head mounted on a gantry system where you could have a larger area than what the Galvo can do. So it would go really fast in a box area, move the head, do really fast in a box area, move the head, and you could patch things together. And so you have a bigger envelope than what it can normally do, but you're not limited by that because the it's on a gantry system. And I guess there's a company that makes one, but the lines don't line up very well whenever you move it.
Which, yeah,
So
because you're stacking errors.
yeah, so it would have to be a very solid system. Um, and I would love to have, and see, the problem is I can't find a fiber laser machine that does like a 2 foot by 2 foot or 2 foot by 4 foot area. Like it's either the Galvo fiber lasers, and if someone listening to this knows of a machine that can do what I'm talking about, please let me know. But like there's the CO2 machines that can do like 2 foot by 4 foot, but I can't find a fiber machine that's of the same size, even as a gantry style.
Okay.
Um,
Omtech has them. They I looked at them and I considered them, and somebody that I trust with these laser stuff is like, don't do it. They'll be really slow, but they do exist and they're not that expensive.
OM Tech has them.
You may kind of have to dig through their catalog to find them, or maybe even just go straight to eBay, and like they may not be on their website. But yeah,
I was going to say, because
they
I
have like
couldn't find them on their website.
They do have this weird hybrid gantry fiber machine. But like I said, the cost of that being is that it's relatively slow. Because if you have to make, 50 passes or something on a laser engraving, that would take a long time to raster out with normal gantry movement.
Yeah, which is the reason I like the one that we have, because it's just so stinking fast. So, but yeah, and I'd love to get a machine that could cut some steel as well, some sort of a fiber laser machine that can actually cut steel. Because that would be awesome as well. And so
now, Omtech does have like real fiber lasers. Which I could see being in my future. Not my immediate future, but at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. I definitely would like to. That's something that's going to happen at some point. It's just a matter of space at this point. We're in a very, very tight space. Well, I say very tight. It's probably 1,000 square foot, but we're probably stuffed into about 300-ish of it.
Oh, I didn't realize you guys were that limited. So that's like it's like a 2-car garage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, basically. We're taking up the space that's a little bit larger than a 2-car garage.
Okay. I sometimes forget how spoiled I am to have this much space. Like,
yeah,
I had to pull my car into my shop the other day, and I was like, "Oh, my workspace used to be the size of where that car is now."
Yes,
and now I have much more.
Yeah. And so if we continue to grow, that's another. Well, we haven't really talked about goals yet. So
it's almost like that was supposed to be the topic of this episode.
I know, it's almost like that. So if we're going to talk about goals here, one of my goals for next year would be get big enough that we can move into a larger shop, where we can become self-sufficient to the point where right now where we're at, it's rent-free.
That's nice.
And that's really nice. But we're starting to get cramped on space. But for us to justify moving out, we need to be making more consistently, and not even necessarily more consistently, but some of our best weeks that we've had, if we could make half of our best week consistently, we'd be doing really, really well. So that's kind of the key. And for the year, we're at around 100K for our first year, which is nothing to sneeze at.
That's my goal for my first year.
But for two of us, it needs to be double that at least. So
yeah, that makes sense, because it's like basically the minimum that I need, and I'm one person. Yeah.
Yeah, so we need a minimum of double that for two of us, and that's my goal for next year. Which, admittedly, out of this year, we probably have 3 or 4 months where we basically sat on our hands and had nothing that was actually bringing in money. So if you were to take out, 3 or 4 months, and we still managed 100,000 in our first year, and of that 100,000. We made most of that in the last 3 or 4 months. So we're definitely on an upward trajectory. So I think when we were in July, we were a ways under 40 in July. So I think it was August when it started picking up. And that's where most.
But now you're getting on the right side of that exponential curve, and
yeah, we're getting on the right side. So when I was talking about that laser, we were getting behind. We have probably close to 300 plus items that are backlogged for that laser, coming back to that laser. And we have more laser jobs that are coming in. And some of it might be on a reoccurring basis if we can work it all out. So I'm super excited for that.
Nice. Yeah, you need a second laser, even just for insurance purposes. Like,
yeah, it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when at this point. So it's gonna happen. It has to happen. We can't go down like this again. It's too much of a hindrance.
All right, so what other goals do you have? So new space,
double our income.
Is that a goal for next year? Is that a 2023 goal, or is that longer term?
A new shop? I don't know. And the reason I say that is because there's like 3 or 4 different ways we could go. We could move out and rent a place. We could buy a shop, which would be a longer term goal. So we'd have to find a way to stay where we're at until we could save up and buy a shop. We could move out and start renting, or we could add on to where we're currently at, which my dad has talked about and is okay with and has encouraged to some extent. But it's all just kind of playing around with what makes the most sense with where the business is heading. And we're starting to get some kind of direction within the business. And the gun stuff is doing well in the sense that it's starting to bring more and more people into our shop organically. We've had a few people that have just showed up because they've ordered stuff online and they wanted to ship it to the closest FFL. For those of you listening, that was AJ's air compressor, which he has conveniently forgot to turn off. I think there's only been one podcast where he's remembered to turn it off ahead of time.
I got it on the last one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's the only one that you've actually done that on, though.
Yep.
But anyways, I lost my train of thought.
Moving shops, maybe building, maybe buying, maybe renting.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of different options with that. Ideally, if we can double our income, then we can figure out from there what we want to do. It depends on what shops are available. There's a couple places in town that we're looking at that are potentially going up for sale in the near future. And that might be worth looking into. We were trying to get to be we're working on becoming distributors for guns for like Glock and Smith & Wesson and some of these others, but they require you to be a brick and mortar store. And so you need to have your hours posted, you need to have a display case, you need to have a place for customers to come in and look around your shop and shop and to buy other stuff. And so if we found a place in town, we could have the front half be like just a normal shop where you're trying to sell stuff. And then the back half could be where we keep all of our CNC machines. And at that point, I could potentially hire on someone to run the front shop and to talk to people and to sell guns and other stuff. And then use the back half to do all of our machining, job shop, and everything else.
It's also nice from a diversification standpoint.
Oh, very much so. Yes. Like, I know they say specialize, and I definitely want to do that, but we're getting really good at being super flexible and making a wide variety of stuff. And I really like that.
The specialized versus I don't know. That should be a different podcast episode. Specialize versus diversify. Because you need both counterintuitively.
Yeah. And I think you can specialize and have a diverse set of customers.
Yes, exactly. Or a diverse set of markets that are independent of each other.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where you can diversify and still specialize. Um, let's see here. What else do we have going on? Um, did I talk about the carton former at all? So there's a local company that we're in talks with where we might be designing and building a carton former for them. And so that would be a pretty big piece of equipment that we would design, manufacture, and install, which could be a ton of fun and be very beneficial in the long run. So I went and toured their facility, and this kind of go back into what my old job used to do. But the nice thing about this is none of this is food grade, so I can get away with a lot more messiness
Yeah,
and be fine, and they won't care.
you can use
Um,
aluminum.
yeah, I can use aluminum. I can use steel. I don't have to. I just have to make sure it's safe and that no one's going to get hurt with it, and I don't have to worry about rust. I don't have to worry about wash down. I don't have to worry about someone spraying it down and disassembling it into a million pieces to clean everything and then trying to put it back together. So this is hopefully going to be a really fun project that I'm looking forward to doing. So I got to put a budget together for it though.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, but getting back to goals, what other goals
Mm-hmm.
do you have for 2023 or in general?
I'd like to hire my first person as potentially like an intern. Um, I'd like to hire one of my students and have the capability and the nice thing about doing an intern is that in theory I could pay them lower or maybe not pay them at all if they were okay with it because a few of my students have expressed interest and I told them I don't have any money right now and they're still interested but I do want to pay them and so that makes it a lot easier um, if I were to go that route. But I want to make sure that I have the time because bringing on someone, especially an intern, is a huge time sink. Like they don't save you nearly as much time as you think because someone has to work at the job for 6 months to a year before they really start paying back. At least that's been my experience. And an intern's usually only there for 3 months. And so bringing someone on and just about the point that they're getting useful is the point that they go back to school could be very challenging. But I think it would be a really good experience for when we finally do bring someone on full time. Having gone through an intern or two will make it a lot easier to bring someone on full time and having to work through the bugs with an intern about making sure that they're showing up on time, making sure they have something to do every day, and just the general management of people.
Interns are also a good, basically a really long interview. They're a good interview question.
Yes.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
because you get to the end of that intern and there's no obligation for them to leave. You can always be like, hey, do you want a real job now?
Yeah.
Or or 5 years down the line they might come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like these things happen. I mean, so I worked for this last company for 5 years as an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for them in the shop for a summer once when I was in high school.
Oh, nice.
And that's how that, like, at the time, I'm sure my boss didn't have any expectation of me ever coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But like when he needed someone and I was free to change jobs at that point, like the background was already laid. Like I didn't really do an interview. I just kind of walked in and started working one day. Like the relationships were already there. He knew how I was as a worker and I knew what it was like to work there. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And that's another aspect. And that's one of the reasons that I teach is because I want to have that connection to young people coming out of school who are talented. Um, so in addition to hopefully inspiring some of them because it's something that I think a lot of people go into engineering because they like working with their hands and there's not a lot of engineering classes in general that really deal with that, that actually provide what they're looking for. And so if I can, and not all of the engineering students go through know that what machining is, and that they would even be interested in it unless there's someone there to teach them and show them all the stuff about it. And then they might go, man, I really liked engineering because I really wanted to build stuff, but I don't want to sit in front of a computer all day. Because that's kind of what happened to me.
Yep,
I
didn't
didn't really
story in this trade.
Yeah, I didn't really want to sit in an office all day. I wanted to work and make stuff with my hands, but I did want to design stuff. I did want to program and use the computer, but I wanted it to be a tool, not my job. So if I can find more like-minded people, students that are going through the same thing, and then bring them on, I think it would be very beneficial for all parties involved. So what about you? We've been talking a lot about my goals. Let's talk about some of yours.
Okay, well, this is actually the one that I have last on my list. Not that the order really matters. And I have these printed or laser cut onto cards on a wall so I can look at them every day. But this card right here says, be ready to hire somebody in 2024. So that's one of my goals for 2023 is to be ready to hire somebody in 2024. And apparently we're going to take Harrison's going to take a quick break here. So I'll move on to my second goal, which is in 2023, I want to make sure I hit my revenue goal of 100K. 100K is what I need to, in revenue, not profit. And profit would be nice, but in revenue is enough to kind of just barely support me and my family.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have this one. This one is 100K audience between the Design the Everything main YouTube channel, the 5 Minute Fusion channel, and our Instagram.
Oh, yeah. That'd be nice.
So that's, I really want to hit that hard this year, all the social media stuff. 5 products with at least $500 in organic sales each. So that is sales that I'm not driving directly, but just kind of poof out of thin air. Let's see. Going back to social media, I want to make at least 52 5 Minute Fusion videos, which I don't think that's going to be too big of an issue. I'm already at like 3 or 4 in a week or 2 since I started that channel. And in fact, if this week hadn't been so crazy for me, I'd probably be like 5 because they're pretty quick to make. But 52 videos being one a year or one a week. Kickstarters 1 through 4 funded, pretty self-explanatory. My business plan revolves around doing 4 Kickstarters a year that on average do at least $25,000 in sales.
Yeah. And then any reoccurring sales is just extra on top of that.
Yep. And that's how even if the Kickstarter sits steady at $25,000, the business will grow in the background through those steady sales on like Amazon and physical retail, which are my other 2 goals for this year. Is I want to get into both of those arenas.
Do you have those prioritized in any particular order, or are they all just goals?
I don't think these goals really have any order. Some of them are related, like making the 5 minute, like in order to hit my $100,000 or 100,000 people audience goal, like I'm going to need to make at least 52 5 Minute Fusion videos. In order to meet my revenue goal, I'm going to need to do my 4 Kickstarters. It's like things are related, but I don't really have any bigger priorities.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I just didn't know if you'd be, when I say priority, I meant like, I'm going to focus on this one for this week, or I'm going to focus on this one at the first start of the year, and then this next one comes a little later in the year.
Well, some of the pacing is set by the Kickstarters because basically I need to do 1 a quarter. I can't like do 2 Kickstarters right at the beginning and 2 at the end like that. That just doesn't work very well. I need to spread those out. So every 3 months, launch a Kickstarter, and then make content around those.
So when you're doing your Kickstarters, and here's an interesting question because I've dealt with this when trying to come up with products. Are you always trying to think of products, or do you go through cycles of, okay, I have a product, I'm going to work on developing it, and I don't really think about new products until that one product is done? Or is it something that just kind of, when you get an idea, you get an idea and you write it down and refer back to it?
I have a huge amount of product ideas to go. Like if I'm doing
Okay.
4 products a year, I could easily do 4 years from like things I've already started.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
when
So you have
I
a lot of stuff going on.
yeah, when I started like a serious new product idea, like I go make a folder in my Google Drive and just kind of start piling things in there as ideas come up and start doing sketches. And yeah, the the problem is the actual like development and marketing is what takes so long. It's not the
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah.
Though
There's only so many hours in the day.
yeah, exactly. There's only so many hours in a year.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds silly, but like it's like the time crunch is real.
Yeah.
Um, and like one of my, I guess, one of my unwritten goals for the next year is to spend a lot more time iterating on and just like doing better products. Um, like the carabiners, they're good. I'm happy with the carabiners for what they are. They're a great product, but I feel like if I was able to spend, you know, another like month on them in the design phase, like they could have been better, and I could have solved a lot of the manufacturing problems that I had in that earlier phase, but I just didn't have the time to work on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully, if you get someone, I don't know, manufacturing stuff for you, then maybe you might have more time to do that kind of stuff.
That is very much my goal. Is to um, I think going forwards, I'm going to be a prototyping shop and a product design studio, and outsourcing more of the manufacturing to fellow machinists like Harrison here.
Yeah. And I'm getting better about outsourcing. That's something that I'm trying to do more of because if you limit yourself to only doing stuff yourself, then you're really limiting the growth of your business. Because there's two of us, one of you, um, two of us at my shop and one of you at your shop, and to take on bigger projects, you have to rely on others to come in and help you in different areas. You just can't get it all done on your own.
Yeah.
It's just
And yeah, it just lets
impossible.
you do more. Like with
Yeah.
I've started outsourcing all of my video, let me phrase that, all of my main channel video editing to a buddy of mine. And that's why the 5 Minute Fusion channel is possible. Like that's something I've wanted to do for a long time is Fusion tutorials, but I haven't been able to because the main channel has taken all that time. Now the main channel takes me like basically whenever I do a project that I'm recording, it takes me like 20% longer, but that's
Mhm.
really my only time input.
Yeah. So, on the subject of YouTube videos and stuff, that's something that I would like to do some of, um, but I don't really have any time to edit anything. Um,
Have you
so
met Scott?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Do you have time I could rent out on Scott?
Um, I mean, I'm sure Scott would do them for you. I think I have more work for Scott than Scott has time at the moment.
Okay.
Um, but I know Scott would like to be able to cut back hours at his job. Um, he was asking me about that. Like I'm paying him enough now where he could theoretically do that. Um, but I had to be like, I don't know where this is going yet. I don't know if this is going to be a long term thing. But if he had, speaking of diversity, if he had a more diversified group of people coming to him, giving him video editing,
Yeah.
I think he would
Yeah.
probably make the time.
I have to think about that. See if
Yeah,
that's
I
something that I
use
can.
Scott for so much design work and
Yeah.
uh, the video
Yeah.
editing.
I just need to start I have a cousin who started uploading YouTube videos, and he's been getting on to me that I need to start doing it as well. And I've always wanted to. I just haven't ever felt like I had the time to dedicate to actually doing that.
Yeah, I mean, reach out to Scott.
I'll have to do that. Let's see here. What else we got? Thanksgiving. Do you got Thanksgiving plans? That's coming up.
Yes, I may or may not be going down to my parents on Wednesday. I might just go on Thursday. My parents are only like 45 minutes away.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking about going down a day early just to kind of hang out longer and take a day off.
That'll be good.
Other than that, not really. I mean, we're going to my in-laws too, so I'll be very full come Thanksgiving evening.
So vacation time for small business people. Have you thought about that much in terms of goals?
No, I haven't really. Not in terms of goals. My wife and I were supposed to go on a 1 day or 2 day trip at some point here before Thanksgiving, and that never happened because I was so busy.
Yeah. But see, that's one of the things that that's one of the reasons I wanted to start my own business was to have, jokingly, more time, which is which anyone who starts a small business knows is kind of the opposite of what happens. But I would like to set aside time to go, have some vacation and go do some fun things. Because one of the things I've noticed is that businesses that do really well, especially those that specialize, are heavily invested in the areas that they specialize and spend a lot of time. So Area 419 is a good example. They have a lot of people that are really into guns and that they have big hobbies where they are reloading and shooting in competitions and going and shaking people's hands. And I think you have to have that to be a successful business. And we're so busy right now that the only time we get out of the shop is when we're delivering parts or if we make time to call customers and then go handshake and go meet them somewhere. But we don't actually, on the gun side, we've gone to 2 different events, but we're missing events because we're not going to all of them. But it's kind of a thing where we don't really have the time to go to them, but at the same time, we can't afford to not go to them.
Yes. Yeah, and I would love to go visit other shops and just I would love to come out to your shop and do a shop tour, put that up as a YouTube video. It's basically free content for me. And it would be a blast to get out there and actually, meet you in person and see your shop. And I would love to just go, go tour some other shops from the guys on the Instant Machinist Discord, for example. I think that would be a blast. But yeah, I just haven't had the time yet. And really, one of the other big limiting factors right now for me is money. Design the Everything is not exactly wildly profitable at the moment.
Yeah.
So we're on a pretty tight budget, and I either have to leave my wife and 3 kids alone, which is pretty much a non-starter, or we all have to go, which is then, I'm not sleeping in my car or whatever. So cost is one of the bigger reasons that we haven't done more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun challenges for sure. But I think it's something that we'll both overcome eventually, especially if we start hiring and bringing people into the business. At that point, it'll free up, hopefully, more time to go do fun stuff.
Yep.
And
even if you just have someone that you can hand shipping off to while you're gone. Because that's one of my problems. If I go on vacation, I can't ship Etsy orders.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That being said, now that I'm my shop is in my backyard, which is definitely giving me way more time at home since I'm not driving, an hour each way. and like my kids can come in here and hang out. Like I set up a just on that side there to my left, there is a like an office room which basically only has my shipping stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
But we took half of that and divided it off and put down some like carpet tiles and a TV in there and some furniture, and like that's where my kids hang out, part of the day every day now. So that's been
That's
nice.
cool.
Yeah. The only problem is when I'm sandblasting a lot, it's like the compressor runs a lot and I have the shop vac running, and like I don't really like the kids in here when I'm making all that noise.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do your kids get involved very much with the actual design and manufacturing processes? Like, are they old enough to appreciate that or enjoy that?
My oldest one, who is 6, is kind of starting to get into like making stuff, which mostly means just like hot gluing cardboard together. But like that's where it starts. So I'm all for that.
I know of a really cool machine that can cut stuff out that would make really awesome hot glue cardboard shapes.
Is it the laser?
Yes.
Yes. I've done laser cut stuff for them. I would love to be able to do that more, but like I did some laser cut birdhouses for my kids and their friends. I literally cut them out of the crate that the laser came in. I just stuck that plywood in there and cut out some birdhouses and handed it to the kids and went, here you go. And I need to do that more. I need to go just find more free designs and just have a stack of like kits ready, basically.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's basically what KiwiCo is, isn't it? It's like a bunch of laser cut cardboard or wood with some electronics. So
and a good instruction booklet.
Yeah. I remember very vividly my grandparents, when I was growing up, they got something kind of like the KiwiCo, and it was like a little crane arm, and it used syringes with water.
Yeah.
That you could like manipulate it around. That was, as a kid, I really appreciated and enjoyed that for stoking my engineering brain.
I mean, growing up, I always had Legos. And then when I got a little bit older, there was a robotic system called Vex, VEX.
I've never heard of that.
They're still kind of around, but they've changed to basically just making toys. But it was basically like an erector set that came with motors and like a RC controller and
that's cool.
That kind of thing. Some sensors, and you could program it in C, basically Arduino.
Nice. Yeah, because I had an erector set as a kid, and that was always fun to play with. Build up a big crane.
Robotized.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Let's see here. If you could get here's a random question for you. If you could get another machine today, what would you get? Because I've been thinking about this some.
Are we assuming that I don't have to pay for it?
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. Let's assume it's within the budget that you could afford in the next 3 years.
Okay. I would love just a copy of this machine right here, this 1100MX, or potentially a 770MX, just to have a second spindle for prototyping stuff.
Have you? I think we've had this conversation before, so correct me if I'm wrong. Did we talk about the SIL or the SIL?
The SIL machines do not fit in my shop.
Oh, they're too tall?
They're too tall. And that's a problem I have with a lot of equipment.
Okay.
The other machine that I'm hoping will happen next year is the Pocket NC bigger 5-axis machine, which again, if I'm going more towards being a prototype shop, will be fantastic.
Yeah. That's another machine that I've looked at that I would love to have as a production setup with like a little robot. But there's a lot of different machines that I've been looking at here recently. So backing up a little bit, there's a gentleman around here who is big into manufacturing, and I met someone who had his direct cell phone number. So I just called him up last week. And then he told me to call back this week. And I tried calling back this week, and he said that he's busy. So he said, call next week.
Okay.
But he has like, his shop is like 5 massive warehouses of CNC machines. And then he outsources to like 6 or 7 machine shops in the area. And he's looking to outsource more. So he's interested in talking with us. So with that in mind, if I was to get enough work from him, I've been trying to think of what machine I would get next to kind of help offset all of that.
Yeah.
Because I would love to put things in perspective. One of my local machine shops, which is only one of several, has like an Excel printout of like 6 pages of reoccurring orders from this one customer. And they're just one shop of many, plus they have their own like warehouse of CNC machines constantly producing stuff. So they process a ton of parts. And if I could capture just a small fraction of that and automate it, I think that could be my big niche. And so talking to him for a few minutes on the phone, it sounds like he's more high volume, high mix, low volume. And so trying to think of a way that I could automate making runs between, 20 to 300 parts at a time, and then constantly jumping around between them. What machine would be good for something of that nature. And it obviously depends on the shape and the size and some of that other stuff, which I don't know yet. But a Y-axis lathe with some form of a robotic arm is what I keep thinking of, because you can make a lot of even mill parts on something like that if they're small enough and can be through bored and fed with a bar feeder, and then just machine them out and catch them.
Yeah, let's see. With that, you wouldn't want something like a horizontal, because the setup on that would be a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
You would want something kind of zippier and more modular, like a robo drill or a Speedio with a quick change system on it.
Yeah,
or like a pallet feeder thingy.
Yeah, and the sill, they have that. It's like a robo drill or a Brother Speedio. It's got the same turret head that can do a quick change. It's not nearly as fast as those two, but it's still way faster than like a Tormach.
Yes.
So,
and it weighs 3 times as much.
Yeah. So, and it costs a lot less than a Speedio and a robo drill. So,
not too much less than an entry level Speedio, though. Like,
I really need to sit down and price some of those out, because
I believe a sill plus a Tormach is basically a Speedio.
Really?
I don't quote me on that, but I think they're in like the 80 to 100K range, depending on options. The sills are like 40 to 60, depending on options.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming you go for the smaller ones. They have bigger ones too that are in the
but by the time you go for the bigger ones, I'd just as soon get something else.
Get a Speedio, yeah.
Yeah, I need to look at them a little closer, because they're nice and small too. So doing those with like a as the dream, doing a 2 Brother Speedios with like an Aroa pallet system in the middle.
Yes.
That setup I've seen at a lot of places seems to do really good. But you have to have a really high volume to justify that.
Yes. And you also need like the tooling cost with that are going to be like more than the machine.
The actual machines. Yeah.
And tooling and work holding, I should say.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you need a whole lot of Aroa pallets.
Yeah. Those are not cheap either. So, 80 times, say like $500 a pop. I don't know how much they cost, but I'm just assuming that they're probably at least 500 each. So it's a lot.
I don't know. But like Saunders, I think was on the Business and Machining podcast, was talking about tooling up his horizontal, which has like 200 tool pockets, which
Mm-hmm.
even the pole studs alone are like, I think he said $40 each.
Yeah.
Um, and 40 times 200, that's $8,000 right there in pole studs, not tool
Yeah.
holders, pole studs.
Yeah. That is stupid.
This whole industry is stupid. Why couldn't I have just been a woodworker where I could buy an entire professional level shop for like $15,000?
Yeah.
Stupid woodworkers. They have it so easy. Or smart woodworkers.
I don't know. So have I told you about my family background in
uh,
woodworking?
Cabinet shop?
Mm-hmm. So my grandfather started a business and recently sold out, and the new owners are doing a lot of things differently, and it'll be interesting to see how well they make it out by the end of it. Because making cabinets is a lot harder than you might think, at least in volume. So
Fair. There's a lot of pieces that need to fit together, right?
yeah, it's one of those things where if you have to stop, if you have a 100 guy crew and then there's a problem and you have to stop for an hour or two, you do 100 people's paychecks times an hour or two, and that's a lot of money lost in a very short amount of time. And that's the problem when you get up to bigger volumes of stuff, is that at least in that particular business, if a job gets put on hold, I mean, the whole place shuts down for a little while, and it's just lots of lost time and money.
I mean, that's true for manufacturing too. That's true for basically any business with a
It,
large
it,
number of heavily paid employees.
it is, but it's, I guess, the way it's run up there in that particular one. Um, they focus on one job at a time, so and maybe they just need to have a better mix coming through. Anyways,
Yeah.
not my business, but just an interesting observation about the cabinet business up there. So
Yeah. I mean, what's the point of having a podcast if you can't talk about other people's businesses?
true. So
Yeah.
it's it's a lot of fun because my grandfather, he does like to come up and see how we're doing, and so that's one of the big benefits that I really enjoy, is the fact that he can come and sit down. We got a big rocking chair for him, and we call him our unofficial shop manager. Um, and he'll come and sit down, once a week or two, and sit down and kind of watch us work and ask questions and see what's going on. And he loves it. So,
All right, let's go back to goals for 1 second here, or kind of
mhm.
goals. Forward thinking, at least. Let's say someone walked in your door and handed you a $100,000 check and was like,
Mhm.
"Hey, use this on your business." What would you do in 2023 with that $100,000?
I would buy some sort of a mill with fourth or fifth axis capabilities. Um, and oh man, I would do that for sure. Because we're picking up new customers with our mill, and that's becoming a real pain point.
You need
So
a new mill soon.
yeah, so we're going to need a new mill at some point. I really want a Y-axis lathe, but those things are over $100,000 for the ones that I want. So really, it would be trick out the mill, get a fourth or fifth axis set up on it, at least a fourth axis, um, and then it would probably be a couple lasers, and associated setups for those. Um, probably get several guns because we want to do some custom gun stuff, like some themed guns. So we'd probably buy some either used or new guns and Cerakote machine, do all the works, and make them as fully custom, ready to go guns that we can sell outright, to kind of get our name out there a little bit more as for custom builds and to get more experience on ourselves, without going through a customer. Um, and I would probably put some more work into advertising. One of the things that we're looking at doing, it's just really stinking expensive, is doing a radio ad in our local area. But that costs between $4,000 to $8,000 for like 3 months
And what would be your goal with that?
to reach more people. So the radio reaches an estimated 250 people, or no,
That sounds about right to me.
no, not 250 people. 25,000 to 50,000 people in the area, something like that, if not better. And if we get on iHeartRadio, then it'll be, I think, 250,000, something like that. But it would be only for a couple months. So it's kind of like the idea of getting like a Super Bowl ad just to reach as many people as you can once. And because I think if we did something like that, I think we'd get a lot of interest really fast. If we could catch and hold it, I don't know, at our current state, but it'd be good to at least catch a little bit of mind space in like a really big area really fast.
I guess the question would be, would it be the right kind of interest? Like, is it going to be reaching good customers or bad customers?
Depends.
Or just not reaching customers at all?
Depends. I don't know if we could advertise the gun stuff.
That's a good question.
That's what we got to figure out. If we could advertise the gun stuff, I know we would be overflowing with customers because no one knows we exist on the gun side yet. I mean, we're getting more and more people out there, and they're finding us organically. But onesie twosie stuff is not going to blow up our business overnight. To really like 10x our business, we got to reach a ton of people. And so that's kind of the idea of 10xing our business. What's, if I could do something today that would reach the most amount of people, what's the most effective media that I could use? And radio is what kind of comes to mind for the local area. You can't really do TV because everyone's streaming everything. You can't really do ads on different social media platforms because, quite frankly, the older generation and the generation that's going to be purchasers at big businesses, they're not going to look at their Instagram, Facebook stuff very much. So radio kind of seems like the great equalizer of a media that can still reach a broad demographic and high volume of people. And it would be, and with that advertisement, it would be, your advertisement would come on the radio like twice a day for, a month or two.
Yeah.
So
my first reaction to that was like, oh gosh, radio advertising. But I don't know. I guess it's not the idea is growing on me. I kind of hate all advertising. Like,
yeah,
all traditional advertising just sucks right now. It doesn't work like it used to.
Yes, but if you don't advertise, no one's going to find you. So you have to do something to extend an olive branch to people to find. And I don't think that like I'm never going to find someone by doing Etsy ads. I might find people by doing targeted ads on like Facebook or YouTube or any of those other types of platform places. But there again, it'd be really hard to target those people if they aren't actively searching for stuff and that the algorithm doesn't know that they're actually interested. It's really hard to like I can't think of any other medium that like blasts it all out and whoever hears it without that person actively looking at the same time.
The problem is reaching out to people who aren't looking. Like those people are just going to ignore you.
Most will, but if you can put an anchor in the back of their mind, that way when they see it somewhere else, it's the same idea of like Coca-Cola, and M&M's, Reese's Pieces. They don't need to advertise about their products. Everyone knows what a Reese's is. Everyone knows what a Coca-Cola is. Everyone knows what a Pepsi is. But they constantly advertise because if they put that in front of your brain and it, like you don't have to want it in that instant, but like if that happened to be the most recent ad you're looking at when you get a craving for a drink or for a snack, then the odds of you leaning towards something that they make are greater.
Yeah, that's called top of mind advertising.
Yeah. And so we're not even in the mind at this point. So if I can even get in the mind, and then if I happen to see people, if we do more gun shows and more other stuff, and they go, hey, aren't you guys that had that radio ad a couple weeks ago? Like, I think I remember hearing about you guys. Then the odds of them at that point engaging us and wanting to get something done, I feel are a lot greater.
Yes. I mean, that's fair. There's some stat out there that says like before someone is going to buy something from you, they're going to like on average, they're going to touch base with you 10 times before they actually buy. So that could be like they, bump into an awareness ad, they bump into a targeted social media ad, they bump into your Instagram a couple times, and then now they are aware of you enough to actually buy your thing.
Yeah, and if even if I had like an ad out there that said check us out on Instagram or whatever, and I started getting a ton of new followers of people just checking out our Instagram page, it might be something that they start following us, and then down the road they start wanting something, and if they're scrolling through Instagram, they see a post, and they go, "Oh man, I really want something." Maybe they can do it.
You will never, ever, ever pick up social media followers from a radio ad. Radio only works for awareness and top of mind advertising. It does not work for like call to action advertising.
You say that, but that's how I got one of the coolest projects that I had at my old job was from the radio.
Really?
Yeah. And it wasn't even advertising for like work. It was advertising for welders. And there was a guy that was like, hey, I want something welded. And he went to the company that I was working at the time and was like, hey, I have an idea for a product. And the owner was like, okay, I'll listen. And so they started this whole R&D project, and I ended up doing most of the engineering, and I'm still great friends with him to this day. But it all started from a radio ad. That's what got me thinking about it.
Did it pay for the ad? Was it enough to cover it?
With at the old job?
Yeah.
I mean, they're making them to this day still. It's a reoccurring order basis. So, and they were looking for hiring at that point. It was like apply here type deal. And I know they had a lot of people that they interviewed at least from it. But a secondary result was someone heard that call for welders and was like, ooh, I need something done. Maybe they can do it. So it wasn't even a call to action, and it still led to someone wanting something made.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. I guess it
doesn't sound as flashy as other ways.
It's not that it's flashy. I don't know. I guess I just really don't like traditional paid advertising, at least for small companies. my theory on it is you could spend $1,000 in ads, but what if you took that same $1,000 and produced a series of videos that was actually useful to your customer? What if you took that $1,000 and you created a website with a bunch of information?
What video could I make to try to call people to send me parts to mass manufacture?
I mean, you start a YouTube channel and you start showing how you make things.
But there's a big cost in that in terms of time that that I would love to put into it. I would love to do those things, but this is something where it's a force multiplier. It's something I don't have to do. I just do it once. I pay them money and they reach people for me. That's what I like about it.
You don't have to record and edit videos yourself, especially if you have a $8,000 budget.
But I still have to record people. I still have to record stuff, and I still have to set a time and plan out what I want a video to do versus just a one-time deal to a radio place.
Are you not going to write your ad for the radio? Are you not going to record that?
Yeah, but it'll be like a 30-second to a minute ad versus, a series of videos, which would take a lot more time. Not saying that I don't want to do that stuff. Not saying that I won't do both, but I still feel like the demographic in the area around me is not going to watch a YouTube video that I put out. I'm not going to, even if I put $8,000 into YouTube videos right now and I hit it hard for 3 months, I might end up with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 followers by the end of it. And I don't know if I'll get a single sale out of that. Now, it's something that's like you're building a foundation for something. It's something that'll grow to a point where eventually it'll be far more effective than radio. I will give you that. But as like, if I had $8,000 today and I had to spend it to reach as many people as I could as fast as I could, I think radio would be the best bet.
Maybe. I don't know. If you do try it, I would be seriously interested to know your results. Again, it's not something that I would do, but I would love to be wrong.
Yeah. It's not something that you would traditionally think of, especially younger people, I don't feel like. But a lot of these places I'm trying to reach are older businesses that I can't find a way through the front door. And they're so institutional that I have to play that institutional game to get a meeting and to get into the door. So,
what if you took that $8,000 and found a freelance sales guy, though, who could do the cold calling and the door knocking? And
that's an interesting idea that I've never thought about, honestly.
I'm also kind of just assuming that freelance sales guys exist, but they've got to exist. Someone's done that.
I have no idea. I know that I need to do a better job of calling people once a week or once every month to like follow up and be like, hey, you got parts? Hey, you got parts? Hey, you got parts? Be that annoying squeaking wheel looking for more work. Because we're not on the front of people's minds, like especially if they're rushing around trying to get stuff done. Like they're going to go to the people who they've used in the past. They're not going to go to me who they used once or twice.
Yeah, it's another form of top of mind advertising.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe you just need a salesperson.
Maybe.
Or a machinist so you can get out of the shop and be a salesperson.
Yeah. That would be ideal. But both of those are going to be, a machinist would be a more expensive reoccurring cost versus a one-time deal that I can save up for and then use.
Yeah. I don't know. My perspective on this is any money that you are spending that does not provide value to the customer is waste. And if you are spending money on an ad, like, yeah, I suppose you could argue that letting the customer find you is value to them. But I have a hard time making that argument. So if I'm going to be spending money, I want it to provide value to the customer in the form of providing a resource or entertainment or education.
Yeah, but I think that's just a different type of markets we're in.
That's valid.
Because I'm looking for job shop, high volume, stale. Can you do X and can you get it done by Y? Where you're providing products and experiences that are more to your average consumer, not someone who's in a work environment where they have a Monday morning meeting every week and they have meetings about sales projections and stuff that'll just put you to sleep. So,
but what if you spent $8,000 on donuts and like sent them out to all these companies?
I don't know who to send them to. Because I can't, like, I have driven around to a bunch of companies and handed out a bunch of cards, and I don't even know who's on the other end of those cards. Is part of the problem. Because I've driven to physical locations many times, and they'll have like check-in points where I can't get past the check-in clerk because I don't know anyone on the other side. Who do you want to reach? Someone in sales. Do you know who you want to reach in sales? I don't know. I'm just looking to hand out some stuff. Well, no soliciting. Sorry. You can leave some business cards. I'll try to hand them out to a couple people, but there's a lot of businesses have so many barriers, especially after COVID, that like I can't get through the front door to even know who's on the other side to try to bug their ear or pull on their ear.
That's fair.
And the radio is the only thing I can think of that would cross that border. Like I said, without knowing what their interests are on Instagram, or if they have an Instagram, do they have a Facebook? Do they watch YouTube? Like, there's so many different targeted platforms that you could try to target on that platform, but I can't like the radio is something that like I know almost everyone's probably listening to the radio, at least a much higher percentage in this area on their commute to and from work. I used to commute for an hour, and so like I listened to audiobooks, I would listen to music and stuff, but I mean, I was also listening to the radio at least once or twice a week. Like, people listen to other stuff while they're driving, but it's almost guaranteed that they're going to be listening to the radio at some point if they commute at all.
Have you ever tried like looking on LinkedIn and finding these companies and just like finding the name of not a salesperson, but a purchasing person, and just like reaching out to them? Like, not through LinkedIn, but like trying to find their business email or like send them, like you could, like
I'll admit that I haven't done a lot of that.
So like for Christmas, what a lot of shops do is that, and by a lot of shops, I mean like Proteum Machining, I think, does this, and a couple other people in the instant machinist community. Ed Kramer just did this. They make Christmas ornaments, machined Christmas ornaments, and they send them out to their customers.
Yeah, but see, they send them out to their what?
To their customers. But
okay,
going back to like Jenny and Davis, they just send potential customers cutting boards.
Yes.
So what if you just, you go on LinkedIn, you find Bob's Widgets, you find their purchasing person, and you address it to, purchasing person at Bob's Widgets, and send them an ornament.
I think you got to go back to you got to know your customer. And I could send random stuff to the purchasing departments, but if they don't have a PO that matches it, it might get thrown in the trash. If I don't know the person on the other end, which I know I could probably figure out through LinkedIn and through other stuff. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being stubborn, but
yes, it might. But the chances of a physical thing getting ignored over a comment on a radio are so much. I forgot how I worded that, but less or higher. Like, physical things don't get ignored, like, especially nice physical things, like a nice machined ornament, like that doesn't get ignored like a radio spot does. Somebody's going to take that home if it's nice enough that they want it.
Yeah, maybe. I guess I'm just so used to salesmen dropping off pins and things and random gizmos and gadgets that get thrown away.
Don't drop off crap.
Yeah.
Because you could choose, if you had an $8,000 budget, you could choose 100 businesses in your area and spend $80 on them, if I do math right.
Yeah. You're really against this radio thing, aren't you?
I mean, I don't mean to be. I don't mean to be. I'm not against. I am against it. I don't think it's the worst thing you could do, but I think it's a waste of money.
Okay.
The exception would be I would be okay with it if you were targeting, like if you opened your brick and mortar store and you were just trying to get gun guys to come in. I think that would be a good play. But for your machine shop stuff, I would say no, it's a waste of
money. I'll have to think about that. Yeah, it's interesting.
You could test my theory for like $50 in an hour of your time.
Just make something and send it to someone.
Yeah, send out 3 or 4 samples and just like see. Or you could do coin. Well, I don't know. Coins may not be cool enough.
So, in an office setting, what would be a cool little trinket that they would keep on their desk that would remind them?
At least for me, when I had an office job, the things I kept on my desk were generally more like fidget toys. I don't know if I'm a normal person in that aspect, though.
Yeah.
Like we had, like my favorite salesperson was the one that distributed all of our, I guess motion hardware would be the term for it. Like knobs and hinges, and they repped those magnets that Smarter Every Day did video on. So he brought me like a bunch of the magnets to play with, and like he just always brought me cool goodies to play with. But again, that may be a me personality thing. Like a nameplate or a name tag or something. Then you have to make sure you get the name right. Ornaments are cool. An ashtray.
I've wanted to make tops on my lathe. I could do CNC tops.
Yeah, that would be a good one. The problem with a top is it would be harder to put your information on it because they're round.
Laser.
Oh, but you have a laser. Yeah.
With the rotary axis.
Yeah, a top would be a really good one.
Because we could do precisioningenuity.com all the way around the outside of the top.
Yep. And it's shockingly easy to get a top to make a top that spins for like 10 minutes, and it always blows everyone's mind. So that wouldn't be a bad thing. I would say some sort of fidget toy. That
I'd really like a top idea because I've been wanting to make a top anyways, for on our lathe at some point.
Or actually, even your boxes, your deck defenders.
And I've wanted to make a really cool business card holder.
There you go.
Like a machine, something kind of like our playing card case, but something that's pocketable that holds like 10 or 15 business cards. Because I want to pull something out of my pocket when I go to grab a business card that I made, so I can be like, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's cool." And it's like, "Oh yeah, this is something I made just for holding business cards."
Yeah, bottle openers. A knife, like a razor knife.
That one I feel like could be a little controversial.
I mean, as long as it's clearly a box cutter and not a knife.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a pry bar.
Oh, yeah.
I'm basically just thinking of products now.
Yeah. I think a top is simple enough, and it's got a little bit of a fidget factor, a little bit of a quality factor. I think it would do. It'd be different.
You could make a really nice like display box for it, and like so when they open it up, it just like it looks and feels nice.
I have to think about that. I like that. I like that idea. Then I got to figure out who all these people are and send them stuff. Guilt trip them into using us.
This is also something that you can like hire people to do. Is you can find people that are like that specialize in research, and you can tell them, find me the name and contact info of purchasing departments in I don't remember where you are,
Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, and they'll just get on LinkedIn, do their Google Foo, and just give you a list.
Yeah, is that something you would find on like?
Yeah, it's Fiverr. Upwork.
Yep, Fiverr, Upwork. Yeah, that actually wouldn't be a bad idea to like, because there's a lot of businesses that I don't know about that are around here that I hear about every once in a while, and it's like, oh, they have that around here. I didn't even know that existed. But it'd be interesting to figure out all the different types of shops around, all the different types of businesses around here that could potentially need machine parts. I have to think about that.
Or you get one of those megaphones that goes on top of your car, and you drive around
with my ad.
Yeah,
with my ad blaring on repeat. Precision ingenuity.
I mean, it would grab attention.
It would. It would definitely do that.
Okay, on that note, oh, sorry.
This thing is really fun to fidget with.
Yes, the tape measures have a really good fidgetability factor, especially when you get the tape in there.
Yeah, but I mean, just the shape of it feels really good in the hand.
Thank you. I spent a lot of time prototyping these. If you want to make one for yourself, I can like send you an Amazon link for the guts, or I can show you the tape measure. They have them at just like our local Menards. It's a pretty common tape measure.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you'll need.
I might have to do that because that'd be kind of cool just to have, because we have tape measure. We have the Milwaukee tape measures. So it'd be cool to have one of these as like with our own logo on it or something. Precision Ingenuity tape measure.
You could, you could white label them from me, and then you could make them and then put your logo on them and then sell them. Which would be the most roundabout business deal of all time.
Yeah. So you're manufacturing them, and then I'm gonna white label them back to you, and then you're gonna have the opportunity to put your logo on them and sell them. Oh man!
Or you can just sell them and give me $5 for each one you sell.
There you go.
License the design.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. Okay, I think this episode has truly jumped the shark. Do you want to take us out?
Yeah. Thanks for listening to another week of us rambling. Those of you who have held on this long.
I thought these were good rambles this time, though.
It was a good week. This is Harrison with Precision Ingenuity, here with AJ from Design the Everything, signing out for this evening.
Subscribe and leave a review and tell your friends.
What AJ said.
We're on all the places now that are major. iTunes, Spotify. You get video if you're on Spotify. You don't get video anywhere else. We're on Apple. We're on Audible. We're on Google.
I need to write all those down.
Yeah. If you go to anchor.fm/taps and patience, I believe is the URL, it'll give you the link to all the things.
Oh, that's cool. I need to do that.
Eventually, I'll get a YouTube channel up too.
Sounds good.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.